Okay, welcome to this first video for the next unit, and we're going to be looking at the idea of equivalent fractions and mixed numbers. Now, as usual, we've got our learning goal, which is that students will be able to use fractions, decimals and percentages and their equivalencies. So this whole unit is about fractions, decimals and a little bit of percentages. We might touch on a bit of ratio stuff as well, but as normal, our videos are just going to go through the basics. Right. At the end of this video, you will be able to create equivalent fractions of some given fraction, transform fractions between their mixed and improper forms, and order a given set of fractions. Okay, so first off, what's in a fraction? Now, for many of you, this is probably something you've seen before, but we're going to sort of go through it, the bare bones of it anyway. So, for instance, if we've got the fraction 3/4, it's going to look like this. Now, this top part here, this is called the numerator. This part down the bottom here is called the denominator. And this little line in here, not that you really have to worry about what it's called that much, but for the sake of it, it's called the vinculum. Okay, doesn't really matter. No one's going to say, hey, where's that vinculum gone? Right. When we're talking about fractions, just to clear some things up, what the different parts of it mean. So fractions are going to be pieces of a whole. Okay, so let's just say this rectangle here is a whole of something. And when we're talking about 3/4, what the denominator means is the number of equal pieces broken into. Okay, English is a bit weird with that one, but it means the number of equal pieces that this whole is broken into. Okay, let's put whole in here. Whole is broken into, so that says 4. So that means this whole is going to be broken into 4 equal pieces. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, the numerator means how many pieces are selected. Okay, now this is 3. So that would mean 1, 2, 3. So that much is 3/4 of the whole. Okay, so that's what our fractions mean. Now, that's a deep foundational conceptual understanding, and I really need to wrap your mind around that. And if that's really causing some trouble for you, please come and see me so that we can sort that out. Okay, so some key ideas. Firstly, equivalent fractions. They share the same position on a number line. So when we look at the fraction 1/3, we can create an equivalent fraction. And so by doing that, we simply multiply or divide numerator and denominator by the same number. Okay, so for this 1/3, let's have a look at that. So 1/3, we can multiply the top by 4, bottom by 4, and that becomes 1 times 4 is 4, 3 times 4 is 12. That means that 1/3 and 4/12 are equivalent fractions. And it means that if we were to have a number line here, here's 0, here's 1, 1/3 would be about here, and so would 4/12. Okay, they both reside on that same point here on the number line. Okay, now we can also multiply it. We can just keep going. We can times this by 3 and times this by 3 and end up with 12/36 and keep going. And they'll all be equivalent fractions. Now we can also divide. So if I had 5/25 down here, I can divide this one by 5 and divide this one by 5, and get the equivalent fraction 1 over 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, 25 divided by 5 is 5, and that's how we get our equivalent fraction there. Now, importantly, you could have said, well, why not divide by 2 instead? Well, 5 divided by 2 is 2.5, and the issue with that is that when we're writing our fractions, we want to have a whole number in the numerator and denominator. Okay? So that's how we create our equivalent fractions. Now, fractions should always be written in their simplest form. Okay? Now, the easiest way to do that is to divide, I'm just going to say top and bottom, rather than numerator and denominator, by their highest common factor. Okay? So, 2/16, highest common factor of 2 and 16 is 8. Therefore, we have 2 over 16 divided by 2 divided by 2. We're going to get 1/8. Okay? 42 and 36, highest common factor is 6. Might just write that, HCF of 42 and 36 is equal to 6. Therefore, 42 over 36 is equal to, divide by 6, and get 7 over 6. Okay? So that's how, when you'll be asked to do any kind of operation, any kind of simplification involving fractions, your end result, you should always be trying to put that in the simplest form. Okay? Now, once two numbers that their highest common factor is only 1, so they're relatively prime, then you can stop. Okay? Right. Improper fractions can be written as mixed numbers and vice versa. So to do that, when we're going from this is called an improper fraction, when the numerator is bigger than the denominator, what we do is that we look at 4, so remember that means, this vinculum means divide by, so 4 divided by 3 is 1 remainder 1, okay? So when we write our mixed number, that means we're going to have 4/3 is equal to 1 with a remainder of 1/3 left over. Okay, it's very important to see that if we started with a 3 here, we finish with a 3 here, unless you can simplify, and we might look at that a bit later. Okay, so same with 15 over 4. 15 divided by 4 is equal to 3 remainder 3. Okay, and so that means that 15 over 4 is equivalent to 3 with 3/4 left over. Okay, now we can also go from mixed numbers back to improper fractions. Okay, so when we're looking at a mixed number like this, 1 and 2/5, that means 1 whole and an extra 2/5 of a whole. Okay, so to go from 1 and 2/5 to turn that into an improper fraction, the improper fraction is going to be over 5. Okay, so whatever is here ends up here. Okay, and then the way that we go about it, this is sort of a, well, it's not really a cheat or a quick way, it's just sort of the way to go about it. We multiply the 1 against the 5 here, okay, so 1 times 5, and then we add this piece here. Okay, so the number at the front times the denominator plus the numerator here. Okay, so 1 times 5 is 5, plus 2 is 7/5. Okay, so this 2 was that piece here, this 1 was this piece from here. Okay, that's where we all get those little numbers from. Let's have a look at this last one here. 3 and 3/7. So the way we go about that is it's going to be over 7. So 3 times 7, there's the 3, there's the 7, 3 times 7 plus the 3 on the top gives us 21 plus 3 is 24, and we get 24 over 7. Okay, and that's how we go between our mixed numbers and improper fractions. Now, I really detest mixed numbers and will try and avoid them at all costs. Mainly because once you leave primary school or early high school, you don't really see them ever again. Okay, so I'd prefer that you use improper fractions if possible, and only use mixed numbers or leave a number in a mixed number if you have to. Okay, right. Now fractions can be placed on a number line. So this is the idea of ordering them. Now, really, to compare fractions, which is what you're doing when you're ordering them, compare fractions, they must have a common denominator. Okay, so, and in this case it's going to be the lowest common multiple. Alright, now lowest common multiple of 2, 6 and 3 is 6. Okay, so that means all of these would need to be changed into a fraction with a denominator of 6. Okay, so we've got a half there, we've got 5 over 6, we've got 3 over 3, we've got 3 over 2, got 1 and 2/3, and we've got 12 over 6. Okay, so when we've got the half, to get it to something over 6, we know that this has to go 2 times 3, so that has to get times by 3, we've got 3/6. This one's already done, so just leave that. 3 over 3 needs to get to something over 6, so to make this change, you times by 2, so that means this one needs to be times by 2, and we've got 6 over 6. 3 over 2, that needs to be something over 6. 2 times 3, so this is going to be times by 3. So we've got 9 over 6. 1 and 2/3, remember that's going to be, you have to change it in proper fraction first. 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 is 5 thirds. This is going to get times by 2, this will be times by 2, and we'll have 10 over 6. And the last one's fine, 12 over 6. So if we are going to put those in order now, we just look at the numerators. So our lowest numerator is this one here, 3. So we'll have 3 over 6. The next one will be 5 over 6. Then 6 over 6. Then 9 over 6. Then 10 over 6. And then 12 over 6. Okay, and we can also put those all on a number line. Just quickly, sorry that this video is going a bit long. Let's see here. Put a line there for us. Okay, so if here is 0, here is 1, here is 2. 3/6 was a half, so that can go here. 5/6. So you'll probably want to divide all these up into 6th, really, that's going to help you now. Okay, so there was our 3/6 for 5, here's our 5/6, here's our 6/6, 7, 8, 9/6, 10, and then lastly 12/6. And we can put them on the number line there. Okay, now sorry this is a long video, but I'm trying to get a lot of content sort of delivered in one hit, and there's a number of exercises from the textbook that sort of contribute to this one. Okay, so don't feel too stressed that you're thinking, oh wow, big video, I've got to get a lot of stuff in, and then the next one's coming. So you'll be okay with that. Please, any questions with this, especially these issues with changing denominators and simplifying fractions, making common stuff, please come and see me straight away, because fractions has a lot of conceptual stuff that you need to have as a good foundation, otherwise it can cause issues in the future. Okay, thanks for watching.